we did want to talk more about this potential threat of a U.S. war with Venezuela. So last week, we talked about the Navy airstrike on this boat off of Venezuela that killed 11 alleged Tren de Aragua drug smugglers. But since then, and over the last few weeks, there's been this buildup of U.S. military assets in the Caribbean that is very unsettling. So last I saw, Ben, it was like 8 Navy warships, thousands of sailors, thousands of Marines. On Friday, there were reports that the U.S. had deployed 10 F-35 fighter jets to Puerto Rico to conduct operations against cartels. Now, again, I'm no military expert. Never flown an F-35, but I don't think you need a stealth 5th-generation fighter to blow up a speedboat full of cocaine.
No, you don't.
That's the kind of thing you would use to fight another military. There are also reports of a U.S. submarine headed to the Caribbean. So when asked on Friday whether he'd like to see regime change in Venezuela, Trump said, "We're not talking about that." But CNN reported that Trump is debating whether or not to launch counter-cartel narcotic attacks on Venezuelan soil in order to weaken Maduro, who was also, as we talked about last week, ordered this large-scale military mobilization of his own militia force to defend Venezuela's borders and coast, and then, just respond to whatever we're doing. So in case folks think that you and I are exaggerating, and this is just about drugs and not about regime change, please listen to this clip of White House advisor and sentient talking penis Stephen Miller from Friday.
So it is a drug cartel that is running Venezuela. This is a very important point. It's not a government, it is a drug cartel, a narco-trafficking organization that is running Venezuela.
So again, we're waging war with the drug cartels who happen to be running Venezuela, according to Stephen Miller in the White House. Ipso facto, sure seems like we're planning to go to war with the government of Venezuela.
Yeah, which, again, is not a drug cartel. What they're doing is they're using language to prepare the ground for a regime change type war.
Yep.
And by calling it a drug cartel, it's not a government, it's a drug cartel. We're just going down there to fight drug cartel. Nicolas Maduro is just head of the drug cartel. You could insert terrorists and
Exactly.
You get the war on terror, right?
Yep.
And this is the irony of Trump is Trump campaigns against forever wars. Now he's got a Department of War, and he's literally entertaining the potential for like a full-scale Vietnam, Iraq type war in Venezuela in this hemisphere, in a big country that's complicated, that gets support from Russia and China, that has an ideological military, that has a citizen militia right now. This would not be a simple military operation, and this would be a complete clusterfuck. If you want to know why Trump's doing it, I guess there are 2 things I'd say. One is, I think a war just gives him more power, as we've talked about. Like a state of war allows for you to crack down on certain things at home.
He likes these headlines, too.
Yeah, and he likes these headlines. He likes blowing things up. Susan, just to preview our conversation a little bit, she brought up this defense strategy that's kind of been reported out that's on Hegseth's desk. It's supposed to be the new defense strategy for the U.S. that highlights this kind of shift in mission away from Russia and China, which is what the U.S. military has been thinking about for most of the 21st century, beyond an endless war on terror, to being used in the United States and
the homeland,
the homeland, but also the Western Hemisphere. Mm-hmm. And I do think that Trump has in mind this kind of world in which, we can go and regime change governments if we don't like them. We can conquer Greenland. That's, we think that's in our hemisphere. That's ours. Maybe Canada's next. I mean, I honestly think that
Panama Canal,
that he's Mexico. Maybe we just start taking some shots into Mexico. I really do believe that if we're projecting out 2-3 years towards the end of the Trump administration, we could be in a place where there's this kind of, the U.S. military functioning like the Roman legions in the Western Hemisphere. That's certainly what this feels like.
Yeah, I mean, look, he likes to do things that make him look like he's taking action or decisive, right? That's been the whole story of the last 9 months of this administration. And certainly blowing up a speedboat full of, alleged drug smugglers and, I guess, bags of cocaine looks like you're taking decisive action. Now, it creates headlines because it's controversial. We could have had the same impact by interdicting that boat and arresting those people and not murdering them extrajudicially, right? But I think he's going to fall in love with these headlines and kind of seeming like he's doing something extraordinary to fight the cartels. Meanwhile, though, we're doing absolutely nothing to deal with the demand problem in the United States or Europe or all these other places. And you're just not going to be able to like blow up the entire supply. It just does not work that way.
Yeah, and I also think like this is no more about drug fighting than DC National Guard is about crime. It's not. It's about turning the military into an instrument of Trump's power and authority and ability to project power and authority. And I want to say one thing with Democrats here. Don't do the thing where you're like, oh, maybe it's popular that he blew up the boat, or don't do the thing either where before you say that this is crazy and that this is someone assuming dictatorial power and potentially get us in another forever war, don't do the thing where you throat clear about how Maduro's a terrible guy for like 30 minutes, Not because I think Maduro's a good guy, but because like this is crazy. This is not how you would fight drugs. This is not a smart foreign policy. The war might be popular the first day, but how many fucking wars does the United States have to fight for people to learn that like it looks real popular the first day you blow something up, like the Shaka into Baghdad or a Rolling Thunder into Vietnam, and then you look up in a couple of years and people are like, why the fuck are we in this place? You know, and this has all the makings of that beginning to unfold. Democrats should be against this. They should be against it without having to like tie themselves in knots that we really want to fight drugs. We'll just do it a little differently, or we really hate Maduro. But no, this is wrong, and this is not what we should be doing with our military.
And also, look, a few other thoughts. One, I mean, this is not a Venezuela alone problem. They're not like growing the cocoa, right? Like, so are we going to bomb Colombia? Are we going to bomb Ecuador? Because reportedly,
that's where this would go.
70% of drugs reportedly are going through Ecuador now. So what are we going to tell the administration there that your options are either we will unilaterally bomb you, or you can hire Eric Prince and his Blackwater buddies, right? So that's kind of the con there. Also,
this is, by the way, your point about the war on terror, right? The military will do stuff, and Eric Prince and contractors will do stuff.
Yeah. What's the problem? Just pay the band tens of millions of dollars. And also, look, I have no doubt that cartels do evil things with money they make off of selling cocaine. But if you look at the drug problem in the United States that's killing people, it's far more fentanyl-based, right? And again, that's a China issue that we're still not really addressing.
Where we're folding, we're tacoing on the fentanyl issue, right? Trump knows that. I mean, like this is about something else. This is not, again, the same way that crime is the pretext to militarize the homeland, drugs is the pretense to militarize the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah. Remember in the first term when he put Kellyanne Conway in charge of the fentanyl problem? Probably told you everything you need to know about how seriously you're taking it.